The night everything CHNGD8 was still dark when the engineers stepped outside. The wind howled across the frozen test facility like it was alive, angry, sharp, unforgiving. Every breath turned instantly into fog. Metal rails groaned. Ice cracked under boots. Somewhere in the distance, a digital thermometer blinked red. 22 degrees Fahrenheit. 30 degrees Celsius closing parenthesis. This was not a place where batteries were supposed to survive. In fact, this was where batteries came to die. For decades, lithium-ion cells had followed the same rule. Cold kills range. At extreme temperatures, ions slow down. Internal resistance spikes. Power collapses. EVs limp along, shedding miles with every frozen minute. But that morning, something was different. Inside a heavily modified electric test vehicle sat a battery that on paper should not exist. No liquid electrolyte. No volatile lithium structure. No thermal runaway risk. No fragile chemistry waiting to crack under stress. What happened next would send shockwaves through the auto industry, terrify legacy manufacturers, and ignite one of the most intense technological races since the invention of the internal combustion engine. Because when that vehicle finally stopped moving, the number on the screen wasn't 300 miles, it wasn't 500, it wasn't even 700, it wasn't even 700, it read to 933 miles. 22 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the story of the world's first real, solid-state EV battery and how Donut Lab may have just rewritten the future of transportation forever. Chapter 1: Why batteries have always been the weak lion. To understand why this matters, you have to understand the lie we've been living with for years. Electric vehicles were sold on three promises: clean energy, lower running costs, and cutting-edge technology. And in many ways, they delivered, but beneath the sleek screens and instant torque was a fragile truth. The battery. Lithium-ion technology, designed for laptops and phones, was never meant to power ton vehicles across continents. Automakers scaled it up, wrapped it in software, and hoped physics wouldn't notice. Physics noticed. Cold weather exposed everything. In winter, EV range could drop by 30, 40, sometimes 50%. Owners learned to preheat, baby the accelerator, and pray the charger wasn't iced over. Worse still, lithium-ion batteries came with inherent dangers: flammable liquid electrolytes, thermal runaway risks, degradation over time, rare earth supply chain chaos, slow charging under stress. Every improvement was incremental. A few more miles here, slightly faster charging there. But the core chemistry never changed, until now. Donut Lab, the company now treated one took Sura. So why, when Donut Lab first appeared, most of the industry laughed. Not because the idea was bad, but because it sounded impossible. Solid-state battery. No liquid electrolyte. Higher energy density. Faster charging. Near zero degradation. And total resistance. Too extreme cold. It sounded like science fiction. Major players had tried and failed. Toyota promised solid-state breakthroughs by the end of the decade. Others quietly shelved their programs after billions in losses. So when a relatively small, research-driven lab claimed they'd cracked the code, skepticism was immediate. But Donut Lab didn't chase headlines, they chased data for years. They worked in silence, refining ceramic electrolytes, stabilizing ion flow, and solving the one problem that killed every solid-state attempt before them: scalability. A lab cell is easy. A vehicle-grade battery pack is not. Yet piece by piece, Donut Lab solved it. And then they did something no one expected. They took it outside, in the cold. Chapter 3: freeze test that shouldn't have. Test conditions were brutal by design. No heated garage. No thermal crutches. No range optimizing tricks. Just raw exposure. The vehicle sat overnight in sub-zero temperatures. The battery was cold-soaked. Every component from wiring to power electronics was pushed to its limit. When the system powered on, engineers braced for voltage. Sag. It never came. Acceleration was smooth. Power delivery was stable. Energy output remained consistent. Hour after hour, mile after mile, the vehicle just kept going. While lithium-ion cells would have been bleeding efficiency, the solid-state architecture did something unheard of. That it stayed calm. The ceramic electrolyte didn't thicken. Ion pathways didn't collapse. Internal resistance barely changed at 22 degrees Fahrenheit. The battery behaved like it was operating on a mild spring day. And when the final mile ticked over, the silence wasn't celebration, it was disbelief, because nothing like this had ever happened before. 933 miles. What that number really means, 933. Miles isn't just a statistic, it's a threat. To oil. To charging infrastructure as we know it. To every automaker betting on incremental change at that range. Range anxiety disappears. Daily charging becomes optional. Long distance travel becomes effortless. Cold climates stop being a limitation. The implications go even further. Fewer charging cycles mean longer battery life. Longer battery life means lower ownership cost. Lower cost means mass adoption. Accelerates. Suddenly, the EV transition doesn't take decades, it happens in years. Chapter 5: Why legacy Automakers are panicky behind closed doors. Executives are scrambling, because this changes everything. Factories optimized for lithium-ion packs may become obsolete. Supply contracts worth billions could evaporate. Entire EV roadmaps suddenly look outdated. Companies that promise solid state someday are now being forced to answer an uncomfortable question: why not now? And worse, why not them? Chapter 6.